78% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck, and most couldn't handle a $400 emergency without borrowing money. But here's what the wealthy know that most people don't: having 6 months of expenses saved isn't just about money, it's about buying yourself freedom and peace of mind. Today, I'm going to show you exactly how to build that safety net, even if you're starting with absolutely nothing. Welcome back to Cashflow Kingdom, where we break down personal finance without the jargon. I'm your host, and if you're tired of feeling financially stressed every time an unexpected bill shows up, this video is for you. By the end of the next 11 minutes, you'll have a complete roadmap to build a 6-month emergency fund, plus the exact strategies I use to make it happen faster than you think possible. Let's start with the why, because understanding this will keep you motivated when building your emergency fund feels impossible. 6 months isn't arbitrary, it's based on real data about how long it typically takes to find new employment or recover from major financial setbacks. The average job search takes 3 to 6 months, and most serious financial emergencies, like medical issues or major home repairs, can disrupt your income for extended periods. Now, some financial experts say 3 months is enough, others say 12. But 6 months hits that sweet spot where you're covered for most scenarios without having so much cash sitting around that you're missing out on investment growth. Think of it this way: your emergency fund isn't an investment, it's insurance. And just like car insurance, you hope you never need it, but when you do, you'll be incredibly grateful it's there. Alright, let's get specific. Your 6-month emergency fund should cover 6 months of essential expenses, not your current lifestyle. This is crucial to understand. We're talking about survival expenses: rent or mortgage, utilities, groceries, minimum debt payments, insurance, and transportation. Not Netflix, not dining out, not your gym membership. Start by listing every essential expense you have each month. Be honest but be ruthless. If you lost your job tomorrow, what would you absolutely need to survive? Once you have that number, multiply it by 6. That's your target. For most people, this ends up being somewhere between $10,000 and $25,000. Don't let that number scare you, we're going to break this down into manageable chunks. And remember, we're talking about bare-bones survival expenses here, which are typically 60 to 70% of your normal spending. Here's where most people go wrong: they try to save 6 months of expenses all at once and give up after a few weeks. Instead, we're going to use what I call the baby steps strategy. First, save $500. That's it. Just focus on getting $500 in the bank. This covers most small emergencies and gives you momentum. Once you hit $500, aim for $1,000. Then $2,000, then 1 month of expenses, then 2 months, and so on. Breaking it down this way makes it feel achievable instead of overwhelming. Here's a pro tip: celebrate each milestone. Seriously. When you hit that first $500, acknowledge it. You just accomplished something that most Americans can't do. Each step builds confidence and creates a habit. The psychology behind this approach is powerful: small wins create momentum, and momentum creates bigger wins. Don't underestimate the power of starting small. If you're finding this helpful so far, hit that like button and subscribe for new money tips every Tuesday. It really helps the channel reach more people who need this information. Now let's talk about finding money to fund this emergency fund. The first place to look is subscriptions and recurring charges. I bet you're paying for at least 3 things you forgot about. Check your bank and credit card statements from the last 3 months. Cancel anything you're not actively using. Next, look at your variable expenses. Can you meal prep instead of buying lunch? Can you brew coffee at home instead of hitting Starbucks? I'm not saying live like a monk, but temporary sacrifices create permanent security. Here's another strategy most people miss: the 24-hour rule. Before any non-essential purchase over $50, wait 24 hours. You'll be amazed how many impulse buys you'll avoid. Also, consider selling stuff you don't need. That exercise equipment gathering dust, clothes you never wear, electronics you've upgraded from, turn them into emergency fund dollars. Every $20 or $50 you find adds up faster than you think. This is the game changer that separates people who successfully build emergency funds from those who don't: automation. Set up an automatic transfer from your checking to your savings account the day after you get paid. Start with whatever amount won't stress you out. Even $25 per paycheck is better than nothing. The key is consistency, not the amount. Here's why this works so well: you're paying your future self first, before you have a chance to spend the money on other things. It removes willpower from the equation. I also recommend using a separate high-yield savings account for your emergency fund, one that's not linked to your debit card and takes a day or two to access. This creates just enough friction to prevent you from dipping into it for non-emergencies, but it's still accessible when you truly need it. Name the account something meaningful like Freedom Fund or Peace of Mind account to remind yourself why you're saving. If you want to build your emergency fund faster, consider temporary side income. Notice I said temporary. This isn't about hustling forever, it's about accelerating your timeline to financial security. Drive for a rideshare company a few hours on weekends, deliver food, freelance a skill you already have, sell items online, or pick up occasional odd jobs. The beauty of using side income for your emergency fund is that it's separate from your main income, so it doesn't affect your regular budget. Every dollar from side work goes straight to your emergency fund. This approach can cut your savings timeline in half. But here's the important part: once you hit your 6-month goal, you can stop the side hustle or redirect that income toward other financial goals like investments or debt payoff. Remember, this is a sprint to security, not a lifestyle change. Finally, let's talk about protecting the emergency fund you've worked so hard to build. First rule: define what constitutes an emergency. Job loss, medical emergency, major car repair, urgent home repair, these are emergencies. A sale at your favorite store, vacation opportunity, or wanting to upgrade your phone, these are not. Write down your emergency criteria and stick to them. If you do need to use your emergency fund, that's what it's for. Don't feel guilty about it. But make replenishing it your top priority afterward. Also, resist the temptation to invest your emergency fund. Yes, you could potentially earn more in the stock market, but that defeats the purpose. Emergency funds need to be liquid and stable. A high-yield savings account or money market account is perfect. And please remember, I'm not a financial advisor, this is just educational content based on research and personal experience. Always consult with qualified professionals for advice specific to your situation. There you have it, your complete roadmap to building a 6-month emergency fund. Remember, start with that first $500, automate your savings, and be patient with the process. Financial security isn't built overnight, but it is built consistently. What's your current emergency fund goal? Drop it in the comments below. I love hearing about your progress. For more practical money advice that actually works, make sure you're subscribed and check out my video on high-yield savings accounts right here. Until next Tuesday, keep building that kingdom.